Hello, everyone, and welcome to another rendition of Stand Back and Talk. I'm your host, MTV, and my guest today is the man who helped me start it all. The laurel to my hide, if you want to say, Mr. SRH.
Thank you, MTV. It's an honor to finally be here. I'm surprised I wasn't one of your first guests.
Yeah, I've been waiting to get you on the show, but a lot of things have been going down lately, and
No kidding.
obviously coming off a huge Eastern invasion, Daniel Stone successfully retaining against Rex Titus. Of course, Tony Gordon's back, and Tony Gordon seems to be pulling out more stops as his WFS gimmick. Of course, they'll have a match at Eastern Invasion. What do you think about that?
I'm hyped for it. I'm hyped. I mean, he's not my dad, but I'm hyped that I always considered him family because whenever he came over to the house, it was always a good time, and he's great in the ring. So I have nothing but high praise, and I have hope that Tony will.
And of course, let's not forget that Rex and Tony, the first time they ever fought was actually for the first ever World Championship. Rex, of course, won that match, so he's going to have somewhat of an advantage. But let's move on to another subject and dealing with the world title match, and that is the fact that yesterday on Fury, after Daniel Stone once again beat Rex Titus, CJ Hawkins came out. It's been announced for months that CJ would be challenging for the world title at Crossroads, and the higher standards back, SRH.
And you better prepare yourselves, TPGW locker room. The higher standard is called the higher standard for a reason. My boy Hawkins has pretty much been all around the world. We can make time. Quoting Red Hot Chili Peppers, sorry, but holy crap. It is going to be one hell of a freaking time knowing that CJ Hawkins is back.
That's right. Daniel Stone to defend the TPGW world title against CJ Hawkins. But
that's just going to be great.
But speaking of Tony Gordon from earlier and, of course, your promotion, WFS, one of the most shocking things, I'm not sure what to think of it, really. Soul Reaper attacked Soul Reaper is the best way I can put it.
I told you that wasn't him. I told you that the Reaper that we've been seeing wasn't the Reaper that I grew up with, that took care of me and my brothers growing up while my mom was out there putting asses in seats.
Indeed, this Reaper definitely being more reminiscent of the man who rose above the gimmicks of professional wrestling to become world champion at Revolution 1. That is quote unquote the definitive Soul Reaper. And of course the broken one's got a lot to answer for, I suppose.
Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. Not just to Soul Reaper, not just to the TPGW fans, but to me. I'm actually a little irritated that he took my brother's good name, sunk it down the toilet. You realize what it's like to have other people say, so that freaky weirdo is your brother on commentary? Yes, I'm looking at you, VPOC. Love you, though, but it hurt. And, it was hard for me to say, yeah, it was, because that's not the one I knew. And when I saw the one that I knew take out whatever brokenness that Soul Reaper was, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders.
Indeed. Well, of course, that particular Reaper got an actual scythe and lost the Hardcore Championship to Shaman at Eastern Invasion.
Exactly, the definitive scythe.
Indeed, a lot of shocking things happening. And speaking of which, you got to think that Matt Farrow's now the Euro American champion as of this past Fury.
Right.
And you got to think somewhere in the woodwork as we approach Crossroads this September, the NIS has to be watching. Call All Stars is just around the corner, and Malik Brown is got to be preparing for what's going to be, well, what he believes is going to be a walk in the park. But I know Matt Farrow. Matt Farrow is one of the most resilient individuals I've ever met, and I am, honest to God, concerned for someone I consider a great man at his first ever Call All Stars. Matt Farrow is not a pushover.
I'm surprised you consider him a great man after he pretty much beat the crap out of you.
No, not Matt Farrow. Malik Brown's
Oh.
the great man.
Oh. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So
That's gonna.
that's a hard match to call, though.
I can't imagine what's going through your mind. I mean, you have to speak for TPGW, but you're also having to speak for NIS at the same time.
Of course, something tells me whether Matt Farrow wins or loses, he's not going to go down without a fight.
From what I've seen from him in my time doing this, there's no way he's gonna go down without a fight. He's gonna pull out one. If he loses, he's gonna pull out a super kick before he just says, "Yeah, I'm done."
Indeed, Matt Farrow, not one to shy away from a fight, even if it's one that may be a little bit out of his league. But nonetheless, we got to talk. We got to talk about what happened with Matt Farrow at Eastern Invasion. It was the 5th match of the best of 5 between himself and Andrew Tanaka. You think it was a mistake of Tanaka? Malik Brown once again coming down to the ring in a no disqualification match to try and take out Matt Farrow, but Andrew Tanaka hit Malik Brown with the burning hammer. Only to have Matt Farrow hit Malik Brown with a super kick and then managed to get a super kick off on Tanaka for the win. You think it was wise of Tanaka to side with Farrow over the NIS?
Yes, and here's why. Because Tanaka and Farrow has the entirety of the TPGW locker room behind them, and to have some other organizations just jump in and act like they know what's going on because they're the hotshots and they haven't been touched in DCA. That does not. What happens in DCA does not apply in TPGW.
Indeed, it's.
No, I'm saying. I mean,
yeah. As much as I'm an NIS supporter, it does feel like it's starting to become TPGW versus NIS with Matt Farrow leading the charge.
well, I can tell you one thing: if it ever went down to that,
with all due respect to Smokey, the guys in my organization have been backing each other up lately. The right people have been backing up the right 8 sorts, and it's going to take a lot more than just somebody showing up on the show and attacking Matt Farrow from behind, because now apparently from what I've been hearing backstage, the entire TPGW locker room is raising arms against the NIS.
I can't blame them. I saw a couple guys while I was walking over here. They were pretty much talking some serious trash about the NIS. I mean, I fear for the NIS if Matt Farrow gets the right team assembled for this civil war of sorts.
Well, we'll find out whether or not Farrow can prevail in his feud over the NIS, whether he wins or loses against Malik Brown and Call All-Stars. All really truly depends on whether or not Farrow has what it takes.
My money's going to be on him. He's one of our guys.
I got to go with the experience factor from Malik Brown, but that's going to be interesting. But nonetheless, SRH, I just want to say thank you again for joining us here on Stand Back and Talk. One last subject, and we got to shift our focus from the men's division over to the women's.
All right.
The Revy is going to be defending the women's championship against Caitlin Cunningham at Crossroads.
Yeah, that's something I've been fearing for a little bit now.
I know Caitlin's your girl. She was the first one to come from WFS to here. And it's officially been stated that there's supposed to be a big announcement regarding the women's championship itself. Holly Harris will have an announcement this Friday, but supposedly the women's division is about to get turned on its head, and Revy and Caitlyn are at the center of it. I mean, and to be fair, I'm not even sure if Revy can beat Caitlyn. I know what Revy's capable of, but at the same time, she had to capitalize off of the distraction from Winter Rain. I mean,
yeah, but at the same time, Caitlyn Cunningham is a former 2-time Uncaged champion. She knows how to win titles, and she knows how to keep titles. She's been around the block a few times, but I'm concerned for her safety, because in the end, it's not even about whether or not Revy is able to retain against Caitlyn. The thing is whether or not Caitlyn can survive against Revy. And we've seen what she can do to other people.
That's true. We've seen what
and
she's
that's
done.
What scares me.
We've seen what she turned Carmen Cortez into. We saw her take out Kitty White on Diamonds a few weeks ago. Kitty White's out with a broken neck right now. Same as Brian Mayhem. All because of Revy.
What I fear is I will have to go to the hospital and see one of my closest friends in TPGW, in WFS. Have to see them look off in the distance with their soul and their will just completely gone. That's my fear when I hear Caitlyn getting into this.
Well, it's going to be one hell of a big match. And speaking of big matches, I'm going to make an official announcement now regarding the women's division. We've seen the feud. We've seen the feud go back and forth, and I think it's time to officially announce this. At Crossroads, I'm a member of the board of directors, same as you,
Right.
Officially commissioner of Live.
Right.
You pretty much oversee all the general managers and stuff, but speaking as one of the co-chairmen, I want to say, considering that you also get to hold that honor, I think it's time to make this official. We've been seeing some things stirring up, and I think I'm gonna make this official. Starting on Diamonds, we're going to have a match. And then, of course, on another Diamonds, we're going to have a match. And the winner of those two matches will compete at Crossroads. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
For the TPGW Women's Tag Team Championships.
That's going to be awesome.
This week on Diamonds, we're going to do this interesting. I'm going to team up. I've been hearing these two have been wanting to team up, so I'm going to grant their wishes. Melissa Bailey and Marion Andrews are going to team up to take on Danny Storm, after the events of WFS, officially signed to TPGW, and Mellow Cross. And they will face the winner of a match between Satan's Ballroom and True Class. Next week on Diamonds. Well, we'll find out. Crossroads is going to be the first Sunday of September, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to make it onto what we're going to be calling the second biggest show for TPGW. This is our SummerSlam, essentially, so it's going to be, we already got a stellar main event. We got a women's tag team championship, first time ever. So, something's going to be happening with Revy and Caitlyn, and then of course Rex Titus and Tony Gordon. But that's all the time we have here on Stand Back and Talk. We've gone over our time a little bit. SRH, I just want to say thank you for joining me here, and we'll see you guys on the next Stand Back and Talk. Booyakah!
See ya.